I came from a childhood that was not safe or sober or peaceful. I came from the kind of childhood you don't hear about in the late 50s, but you hear a lot about now. There was one way that I survived that childhood. There were adults that were what I call my salvations. The first one was Dorothy Parker. I was a miserable child, a lonely, isolated, ruined child by the time I was 6 years old. Then I found a collection of Dorothy Parker short stories. I read Little Curtis and Big Blonde over and over, and I realized that my suffering was not unique and I had not brought it upon myself, but that it was universal, and that a lot of other people had it a lot worse. And so my empathy was developed by Dorothy Parker. The next person was our neighbor. I was 5 and she was 65 when we met. Her house was quiet and peaceful, and there were books. And she acknowledged me, and she accepted me as I was. And that was the first time anyone had done that, besides Dorothy Parker. Then, in 5th grade, a teacher kept me after school. She asked me to rewrite all my stories in red ink, and we would send them to Highlights and Stone Soup and get them published. And well, I wrote them all over in ink and sent them off, and not a single one was ever published, which is the best introduction to the life of a writer. By age 9, you have to be ready to take the blows and just keep going. When this teacher changed my life, she did it with words. She told me in 5 words, "You will be an author." And with that, she gave me my own script to write. She gave me my life to create. She gave me everything I lacked. And from that grade, I have been an author. And it literally, words, pulled me up on a ladder from hell, and I haven't stopped going yet. When a child can find words to express an internal situation, it's the beginning of power. We walk around in isolation thinking that we're not quite as good. Our clothes aren't as nice. We're not as cute. Our butt looks big in these pants. That kind of thing. But we are so much more connected than we are different. One thing that has really helped me all my life is this quote from Richard Hugo: "You owe nothing to reality. You owe everything to the truth about your feelings." And I buy that. I live by that. People don't know, even now, how children learn to decode, which is to turn the marks on the page into words and language and meaning. Helen Keller had Anne Sullivan to hold her hand underwater and to make the sign for water and to write it. But modern day children, even now, we don't know how it happens when all of a sudden they get it. But when they do, they are connected with the world and with culture and with each other. I started the Missoula Writing Collaborative 20 years ago because I wanted to give the gift that had been given to me to children, because every child needs to know what is inside you matters. What you feel, you deserve to express and give voice to. And children are the best writers. They're all natural-born writers. Synapses develop in the brain. And the more language and words and word immersion and conversation and interaction that happen with a child whose brain quadruples in size from birth to age 4, that child will develop synapses and connections and neurons, and they'll study chess, they'll speak Russian, they'll play music. They will be better equipped for the global world. Plus, they're better citizens. They connect with each other through language. There's a great quote by Muriel Rukeyser, which says, "The universe is not made of atoms, it is made of stories. And I agree absolutely. No offense to the physicists in the room. So there's another great quote. Oliver Sacks said, "We don't know what we're going to say and figure it all out and then say it. No, language organizes thought. Until you can say it, until you can put it into words, you don't know what it is you think." It's pretty surprising, but it's the truth. This is one of the children that I worked with in the classroom. No rules about spelling, no rules about neatness, punctuation. I just say, let go, let your imaginations go. We often do a superhero lesson, and I tell them they get to write about their costume, they get to write about their sidekick, their nemesis, their power, and I always tell them, I am a poetry girl, and I connect souls with words. They like that. So I want to give you some great quotes from kids. These are things that they have said that have lit up my heart. I had a boy in 4th grade say to me, "Do we have to wait till you stop talking to start writing, or can we pick up our pencils when you walk into the room?" In a junior high hallway, I heard a boy yell, "I am not a failure, I'm an author." So I get so much back from them. They take my energy and double it and triple it, and it's just wild from there. I'm going to read you a poem I wrote about these kids that I adore and am humbled by. It's called Poetry Class. When the 4th graders begin writing, I wait in fear and deep humility for the poetry that opens my sleeping third eye, whispers from God, answers to unmentioned hopes, messages from trees, unrealized wishes, the small things that never seem to matter, the way a child and a rat will love one another, the green force that drives the blossom. The answer, I surmise, has to be reincarnation. Little Ezra Pounds with big ears roping cattle in Idaho, 4-foot-tall girls in braids, haiku masters like Isha and Basso, T.S. Eliot unawares in a soccer jersey, William Carlos Williams chewing on the end of his pencil, an unkempt Dylan Thomas jumping hills on a yellow dirt bike, John Berryman tipsy on a skateboard, and Sylvia Plath looks over all of our heads and mutters to herself. I try not to plead or badger, but tell me, how did you come to that line? How did you think of it? Do you even know what it's called, what you did? And the old souls with their hot fruit, leather breath, questionable hygiene, sweat of baseball cap sweat under their hat, look at me, shrug, push up their glasses and say, I don't know. So, sometimes I'm told that I'm letting the kids be too silly. I'm letting the boys make jokes. I'm letting them talk about unicorns that poop Pop-Tarts. And they all laugh. And the teacher said, you're letting them be too silly. How long do boys get to be silly in our culture before they have to man up, shut away their feelings? So I encourage it. If they want to laugh about their kitten or their unicorn or their Pop-Tart, good. The last thing I'm going to tell you about is when I'm hiring for the Missoula Writing Collaborative, I bring people in and I ask them to read this piece by a child in Houston called Chlep. We were at the park. I turned to a rabbit. My mother said, come, here's a rabbit. It's me, I said. But she could not hear me. Chlep, I cried. I'm a rabbit. And I cried and cried. And I was so hungry. But she did not hear me. And I was a rabbit still. When I'm hiring, when they look at the poem and they say, well, the first thing we have to do is straighten out that spelling, I say, you're done. I need them to say, I understand you're hungry. I understand you turned to a rabbit. I want to flip. Thank you.